Thanks for tuning in again, guys, to Weird Mythic Podcast. I'm Naomi, and I'm with
Serena.
Today's
episode, we're going to be talking about past lives and past life regressions, and we do have our very first guest.
I know, and thank you so much for joining us.
This is V from Life Paranormal with V. She's going to plug her podcast a little bit. We do apologize about the audio. We're still learning how to record from different locations. So bear with us for the next 20 or so minutes. It is a little rough.
Yeah, but she's going to talk about her podcast. She's going to be answering some questions. The part on our end is very quiet, and you sometimes can't hear us, but you can hear V, and her voice is wonderful, so I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah, get ready for this ASMR action.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for having me on. My podcast is Life Paranormal with V. You can find me basically anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter, though, where I post a lot of updates about episodes. So if you have Twitter, my name is at VLifeParanormal. I also have my own website at www.lifeparanormalwithv.com, where you can also find a lot of my uploads and links to my merchandise store.
All right, well, today our episode, we're going to be talking about past lives and past life regression.
Yeah.
Where do we want to start with this?
Well, I kind of just want to know how you got started with it, V. From what I know is that you're able to read past lives. Do I have that correct? I've really never had any experience with any past life regression except for one book that I read. So if you could just kind of explain how it works with you, that would be cool.
So yeah, totally. I think it really started when I was like a little girl, and it would happen in pieces where like I'd be sitting in class. And it wasn't necessarily for me. I think I was picking up on people around me where like I'd sit down and I'd start getting all these images, and I was just like of different times. And I thought, okay, I'm just, at the time I'm just it's like imagination or whatnot. But now looking back on it, I know it's probably picking up on people's past lives, just because, I feel that past lives they hold so much messages, things that we haven't learned, probably that we didn't complete in that time. If we think about how old our planet is, think of how many lives we've lived here. I feel like there's some reason to it. I don't like to question it just because I think the biggest mysteries of Earth and the universe we'll never know them. But I think it started really, I tried so hard to fit in and try to live somewhat of a normalized life, within my group of friends, and then, with among your peers and stuff. It's kind of hard to be like, oh, I'm a medium, I'm psychic, it's really hard. So I think until I started being more open to it, like when I was 21, 22, 23, I was working at this place, and the acupuncturist I used to work for, she was wonderful. She was really in tune, and she did a past life regression on me. And she picked up on stuff that I never told anybody. I had like these recurring nightmares where I was thrown into it looked like a coffin, and people were like shouting at me from above, and they were throwing a bunch of like snakes and lizards and all these like gross things, And I remember having them shut it, and that's all I remember. But it was so gnarly. It was crazy. Like I was living it all over again. And she would have never known. Like she picked up on that, and I was being killed for being a witch at the time.
Oh, you were probably like having this reoccurring dream for years.
Well, I used to have a really bad fear of lizards. Like they would make me cry. Yeah. Not snakes, not so much. I live in the desert, so I see lizards. But it was something about the lizards. I don't know why. But I still dream about snakes and lizards from time to time. But they're not. I worked through that fear, But as my gifts started to get more mature, and I started to like really look into them and delve more, and more of my past life started to come out in dreams, and then like very vivid, I would be doing something and things would start coming to me. But my favorite is to do it for other people. That's my favorite, because I get to figure out parts of them. It's so fascinating. You get to meet people. And it's just that's my favorite part, is doing readings for people. It's so much fun. So
okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because I've never even heard of past life regression. Like people, because you gotta meditate, you gotta relax,
and then have somebody kind of walk you through the process so that they can get in touch with that part of their past lives, right?
Yeah, and it's like I don't do like the regression. I think it's just like all I need is an image. I either use like for my friends who live out of state or clients who live out of state, like I'll just get a picture of them. Typically their birthday and month is all I need. And then I'll just sit there and I use automatic writing. So when I channel, I just start scribbling, and anything that really I start seeing, I just get details. I hear names, I hear everything, I smell. It's like all of my senses are in that moment. But like regression, you have to be careful with certain people. It's kind of like, I don't tell a lot of my clients like, oh, if you want to be more balanced, go meditate, because meditating actually can send people for like, it trips them out too. They get more anxiety. It's not for everybody. So it's kind of like that with past life. Yeah. It's kind of like that with past life regression. You can put somebody in that kind of state of mind. And if you're not a licensed professional, because, there's some therapists out there who can do that, and, hypnosis, and there's an art to it. So I'm really careful delving into the regression part. But when I do, energy work on people, I do like the chakra alignments and the cleansing of the energy, what I do in my practice. There is parts where I do walk my clients through things, but it's a lot more different. Sometimes they just I tell them, we're in this place where you can be, it's a safe, sacred space where we're at. So anything that comes up, to mind, just talk about it or remember it after the session, and you can start remembering everything. So I think that's how past life regression could be. For some people, it can be too much.
I think for me, it would be very like intimidating, and it's hard for me to trust people and to trust somebody to, I don't know, essentially come into my brain and have that kind of control over me. I'm like terrified. I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, rightfully so. Some people just, there's good and bad in the world, no matter what. People can, manipulate you. But, I always tell people when it comes to stuff like this, even in life, always trust your gut, anytime you do anything, especially when you do readings with people, or if you're drawn to someone for a reason and you get a good vibe from it, that's your intuition. All the signs, like, it's, you got clear landing, go for it. So, yeah.
Okay. Has it ever been like overwhelming for you? Like if you happen to meet somebody or even somebody and you're like, you might get overwhelmed. You get like those visions of their past lives or get that feeling of some sort of past life, and like you have to let them know what you're feeling?
When it comes to like friends or family, it's too personal for me. So I've learned to like not read them. Like there's sometimes like, talk to me, like I can feel something. But, it's kind of like when you go into someone's party uninvited and you walk in, everyone's like, oh, what are you doing here? It's kind of like when I read people, like you're uninvited, you can't just like go up to, like, it's fine. There's some people who like will go up to people at the stores and be like, oh my God, I have a reading for you. You know what I mean? I feel icky when I do that. I don't like it. And, but there's a couple of them that I've done that are just like deaths and stuff. It is really hard to process. It's hard to be in that moment, but I get out of it. I've been doing this for years, so there is moments. It's exhausting.
I'm sure. Yeah. Cool. All right. No, that gives me so much more insight exactly how you would have somebody that you were reading. I haven't been able to talk to anybody about it, but I think that's really cool and like awesome for you to give people some closure when it comes to like fears or anxieties.
You can tell that you like helping people and that you like watching people moving. So like I can tell that about you. So that's good.
Yeah.
It's refreshing energy to be around.
So do you believe in reincarnation then? Is that part of reading people's past lives is part of reincarnation? Do I have that right?
What I feel since I've been so connected to the spirit world and since I was such a little girl is what I feel is that it's hard to even dismiss that there's something else out there after we're not here anymore. I feel that the biggest, the movie that really resonates with me when it comes to stuff like this, it's a movie with Robin Williams. It's called What Dreams May Come. Amazing, fascinating. And it talks about reincarnation because, you know, when I communicate with spirit worlds, because I do that for clients too, I connect them with their loved ones. It's just just part of who I am. And doing that for so long, there's no such thing as time up there. It's infinite. It's infinite, and you can do and be whatever you want to be, you know, and to be able to decide to come back because you want to, you have unfinished business. There's something within your soul's mission. I think, like I tell my clients, and I'll tell you too, it's like we all have it's been soul sanctioned by the universe for you to be here, to be going through everything you're going through, have been through everything you've been through. You know, it's already been divinely processed for you. You know, it's just us remembering why we're here and what we're supposed to do. And sometimes when you're suffering the most is when you're about to get that big breakthrough, and you have a choice to decide to like let it overcome you. And that's when a lot of people get into more darker paths in their lives, or, you know, you can allow the pain and the suffering to really mold you into what you're supposed to be, you know? So yeah, I do believe we have those life lessons. We have karma in our relationships and what have you. So it's, if we don't get the lesson now, you know, I feel like I know this is my last time I'm going to karmically be here. You know, I think this is the last time I'll be here. At least that's what I feel. So yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, congratulations. I hope that one day I get there.
The world is going to shit anyways. I don't want to be here anymore.
Honestly, yeah. Now, do you have another question that I had about kind of reincarnation? Do you think that if somebody reincarnates, or they could go possibly into a different time? So like, say I were to pass away and then reincarnate, would I immediately go into the future, or could I possibly go back in time? If you're saying time is not
exactly anytime you want, that's what I feel. Especially like when people talk about the whole theory about time traveling and all this, you know, I'm
which is that's our next episode.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's, and we're talking about this for a reason, because my next episode, it's about doppelgangers and about how someone seeing someone's double at the same time where they're doing something or whatever. It's actually also been talked about cases of biolocation. So like you can be here, but you're projecting yourself somewhere else. So it's really, really crazy. So yeah, I do believe that we can have the ability to do whatever we want, you know. So
that's like on par with what everything you're saying is like on par with what I believe in as well. Apart from, this definitely is not my life.
I've actually never thought about the fact that, like you say, whenever we do pass on, if time doesn't matter, I never thought, I guess you totally could just decide what time you want to go back to if that's what you want to do.
Well, see, and I feel like you can pick the location. I feel like you're able to pick, you know, who your parents are going to be and this and that, because it's, you know, what lessons you're going to need to learn in the next life. You know what you're going in with. And so you can kind of set yourself up to ultimately get there, except for the veil of forgiveness. You're going to not remember a damn thing.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, we're all each other's soulmates, your parents, your family, us, even talking right now. Soulmates is just knowing that we all have this soul contract, that we've all met each other before, we've interacted in some way, shape, or form, and we're just here again, you know? So there's this really trippy story. Oh my God. I'll have to send you the link, Serena, via Twitter or but it's called The Egg, and it's a story.
Yes, the universe is an egg. I have showed that
I need to write this down.
So many people in my life, because I'm like, you don't understand what I'm talking about. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. Let me show you this. What is it, like a 7-minute video or something? It's pretty short. Mm-hmm. It's so insane. It actually made me cry the first time I watched it.
So what is it?
Been talking about it now, I get chills, but it's like my mind was blown. I was just like, this is exactly what happens.
Yeah. What's the theory of the universe being an egg, or what is it?
I think that you have, every time I tell someone, you have to listen for it, because I think that everyone gets a different meaning from it, you know, and they'll, you know, it's kind of like one of those movies where you're like, what is it supposed to mean? Yeah. So I think everybody takes their own meaning. I think for me, I'm just like, kind of like I told you, we're all meeting each other in this lifetime for a reason, and we're all connected, and we're here it's like, yeah, it's really great. It's a great way to see things connect, and it kind of makes you feel like, I think once you feel like everything's connected, you don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about your problems, because you kind of just know that things are going to work out and they're have reason, and you just kind of flow through life, and you're just like, okay, I'm just throwing my hands up and I'm like trusting the universe kind of thing, even through death and like
I was gonna say it makes death easier as well, because like this isn't the end, and it's not the last time you're gonna encounter this person. Yeah. Well, awesome. Okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap this part up. We'll let you go, V. We'll finish off our episode. It was so great to have you here, though.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Anytime you guys need me, you need any advice, just text me.
Yeah, get a past life reading from her.
I'm definitely gonna hit.
Yeah. I hope you liked yours, by the way.
I'm still processing. It's not that I didn't like it. I'm still processing. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but
it's a lot.
It's just crazy how, I don't even know. Yeah, it was crazy how she spot on hit, the things that I'm afraid of type of, you know what I mean? We'll get there.
I'm definitely going to reach out to you, V, because I'm very curious to see what you come up with for me.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah. Reach out to me, guys, and thanks for having me.
I want to say thank you to V again for being on there, or being on our show, and just giving us all that insight. It was actually really interesting for me. I've never been able to talk to any sort of medium before, and I got to have some questions answered, and I think I just have more questions about the universe at this point.
Yeah.
So I do want to apologize for everyone listening. We did do it off of Zoom, so if you felt like there was some feedback or if the audio was a little off, apologize for that, but there's nothing we could do to stop it. So
we need our guests, man.
Yes.
We'll get it situated before I move and we have to do this full time.
Yes, we'll figure it out so that everything does sound good. And thanks again, V. And again, this is our which number episode are we on?
Oh, I think we're on. Is it 8?
8? I think it is 8. So welcome to our past lives episode.
Yes. All right. So we did mention earlier about the book that you read.
You read it too.
Yes, but you said it. So we're going to talk about that. It's a freaking great book. So easy to get through. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was going to be that easy to get through because it's written by a psychiatrist or whatever. But
he did everything in layman's terms.
Yeah, it's super easy to get through. And it's called Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. Mm-hmm. And basically, I'm just going to give you a little summary rundown, and then we can talk about our feelings a little bit. So the introduction is basically him saying, his clinical background. So he was the chief of psychiatry at Mount Sinai Medical Center in Miami at the time of this therapy. He's classically trained. He's a scientific doctor that was trained at Columbia University and Yale Medical School. He graduated with several honors. So
he's a smart dude.
Yep. And he was actually a skeptic. So he was the first or the last person to be open to any kind of channeling, reincarnation, parapsychology, anything like that.
Right.
He was like, I'm not here for it. He, again, was the chief of psychiatry during the time where he met Catherine.
Yes, Catherine.
So Catherine is a 27-year-old woman with major anxiety issues. She also suffered from depression and a wide array of phobias. And she actually worked at the same hospital that Weiss practiced at, but she was a lab technician. And a bunch of her colleagues were like, yo, girl, you need to go to Brian Weiss. You need to get some therapy we all need. And we all need therapy.
We all need therapy.
I'm an advocate for that. But, so basically, Weiss agreed. He treated her with conventional therapy at first. He suggested anti-anxiety medication because her anxiety was so severe, but she refused. She's due to fear of what the chemical intervention would do to her body. So she didn't want drugs
I understand that.
I agree with that as well. And then while at a museum with this guy, Stuart, who is a man that she's having an affair with, and they're going through this museum, Catherine has a surreal experience. As the guide is lecturing about Egyptian history, she begins correcting the inaccuracies.
That's right,
And Catherine wonders if her statements in the art museum were caused by memories of a past life. And then because of that experience, because everything she was saying was correct.
She was pretty much correcting the docent, and the docent's like, well, I suck.
So let me emphasize that part because of, she's a woman that never has been there. She doesn't have any experience with it. She didn't study that in school. Like, she's like, there's no reason I would know these things. So because of that experience, Catherine then consents to hypnosis. And Weiss hopes that whatever they uncover can improve her panic attacks. So through this therapy, he's hoping that they're going to uncover stuff that will help her in her present day life, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Conscious life.
Yeah, something, and he's hoping to pull something out of her subconscious that she's repressed. So he wants to see if there's anything he can bring out of her through this hypnosis.
Correct. And so through a few sessions, they actually do find several past childhood traumas, including an alcoholic father who sexually abused her, and then, stuff that she didn't remember. She was like, but she had these fears. And then it actually increased her panic attacks at that point. So in her next session, Weiss tries again to hypnotize her. He asks her to go back to a time when she was 2 years old.
Right.
And instead of that, she then starts talking about walking around a marketplace in 1863 BCE. She says that she's 18 years old and her name is Aranda.
So strange.
Yeah.
He's like, that is not what I was expecting.
And like the immense detail and everything that she's giving, he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I think he's more like, wait, what the hell's going on now? That is not what I asked you to do.
Exactly. So like when that session ends, he's hella confused. He can think of no clinical diagnosis for her revelations. Her religious beliefs, she was Catholic, and that doesn't predispose her to believe in reincarnation. So he's just like, what's going on? And then he opens himself up a little bit, and he's like, let's see like where this goes. So the rest of the book actually follows Catherine's various lives and hypnosis sessions, and it's like verbatim. Like he uses quotes, so you're actually getting the things that she's saying while she's hypnotized, and it's just freaking mind-blowing.
Yeah. Something I actually kind of just wanted to touch on when it comes to hypnosis is when you are under hypnosis, you cannot make things up. And there are ways to know if somebody is making things up, saying that they are hypnotized. Yeah. So when you read this book, she is really hypnotized. And when you're hypnotized, you cannot make things up. You do go with the suggestions or what the other person is saying. Okay, now I need you to think of this. Like, you can't just make shit up on the spot when you're hypnotized.
I think at one point, doesn't he say, like, no, like, that didn't happen in that life? And then she corrects him. She's like, no, this is actually, like, you're wrong. Don't try to tell me what. You know, he's basically trying to bait her, I think, into that. But
he's trying to see if she is making it up.
Yeah, but she's like, nah.
So I got to do a shout out to, I think it was Small Town Murder, just did an episode on where this guy who murdered people, and he's trying to, have the insanity deal. And they said that he was being hypnotized, but they pretty much caught him in a lie. Through this, because he wasn't really hypnotized, and they caught him. So thank you guys for explaining that to me.
Well, also within hypnosis, you wouldn't do anything against your will, right? Like, you still do have free will, and you do, wouldn't be like, Naomi, go kill this person. Like, you're not going to be like, no, you're not a robot that's like, I'm going to go kill this person. Yeah, your consciousness is still there, exactly. Unless you're in the movie Get Out.
Yeah, but you can't lie and make things up when you're hypnotized, because that means that you're not hypnotized. Correct. You're able to make shit up.
Yeah, well, he also has this, he does, like, the past life regression hypnosis on YouTube, where you can, it's like a followed meditation, where you can go along and you can, try to do it for yourself. And I was reading the comments, and I was getting pissed off, just by the amount of people who are like, this is bullshit. I think it was like a TikTok trend at one point. Yeah. And when TikTokers get involved, things get weird. But I'm just like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Don't go bashing other people's. Right. That's not what we do here on Weird Mythic. So it just bothered me.
So that book that Brian Weiss put out for the Many Lives, right? What is it?
Many Lives, Many Masters.
Thank you. Many Lives, Many Masters. Serena gave that book to me after she read it, and that actually kind of launched us into this whole Weird Mythic podcast.
Exactly, I forgot about that. So this is what kind of opened up our conversation. We're co-workers, if you guys didn't know, and it kind of opened up our conversation. I mean, we've known each other for less than a year, so how well can you really know somebody in that amount of time?
Yeah.
But it really got us to become closer. We talk about things that normal coworkers probably shouldn't talk about.
Right.
We drag our other coworkers into conversations.
Which is always fun.
It really is. But yeah, this kind of actually, when this book got brought up, we started talking and we're like, damn, we actually believe in a lot of the same stuff. We're into the weird shit, you know?
Exactly.
And then in passing, we're like, we should start a podcast. Turned out we both went home that night, dove down a rabbit hole. Did research. We're both, I come into work the next day. I'm like, hey, Naomi, guess what I did last night? She's like, what? I was like, well, I learned how to make a podcast. She's like, I was looking stuff up too. And here is our podcast.
Here we are. So
a month later.
Yep. Thanks to that book, it kind of just,
yeah.
I don't know, kicked us in the ass and went like, hey, you guys have shit in common and let's talk about it. So
yeah, so back to that hypnosis therapy thing. Naomi, let's go dive into yours.
I'm going to just kind of talk about mine. I wanted to do 3 sessions. I only did 2. I'm still going to try to do a 3rd one, and we're going to end up posting my recordings from that.
We'll do like a bonus episode of those.
So yes, I was able to find Brian's hypnosis thing on YouTube, which actually was pretty hard to find one without ads. So if you do look it up, make sure there's no ads because it scares the hell out of you when you're in the middle of the meditation.
There is one, and I think it's actually from his YouTube channel, and it's ad-free. I want to say it's like 40-something minutes.
It is.
It's a deep dive into it.
You're pretty much so. I'll walk you through how he does it. So you are going to have to meditate for you to do this past life regression with Brian. So I made it a very dark room. I turned off all the lights and all the windows in my home. I also put like a little mask over my eyes. So like,
you turned off the windows?
I had to turn off the windows. Turned off all the windows, guys. Yes. It was dark in the house. And I'm listening to him. He wants you to just relax. He also wants you to like picture a garden at some point, and
he just gets you more relaxed into your.
If anyone has done any sort of meditation, even if it's just yoga, that's how I've done meditation is through yoga and through breathing exercises.
For me, it was breathing and like when I did this, it didn't necessarily work for me. I think I was a little too distracted. I did have a good meditation session, though. Yeah. I was freaking refreshed after that. So I got something out of it.
So the first thing he really wants you to do is remember a time from your childhood. And it's any memory you could think of. So, go for whatever memory. It could be a happy memory. It could be a sad memory. It could be something silly. But so I would remember whatever childhood memory it was. And it really actually, you can remember a lot of detail when you're in this meditation. There was some things that I was like, oh yeah, I do remember exactly where my mom was when this happened. I know exactly where my dad was when this happened, and my brother. And I went back to when I was like, I want to say 3 or 4 for my first session. And I was actually surprised in myself how much detail I could end up remembering.
Did you talk about it with your mom at all?
I did not.
Oh, you were just there. Not.
I know. Oh, I wanted to kind of get through the 3rd one. But anyways, I will talk to her about it just because it was interesting. I think she would like it too. So you got to remember a time from your childhood. And then he actually wants you to remember you being in your mom's belly.
Oh yeah, like encased
in you're in the womb and
in utero.
In utero, that's the word he kept using, in utero. Which at first made me laugh, but then I got relaxed again and I went back into it. And he wants you to remember being born, but without any pain. That's something that he really hones in on at this point. He's like, I don't want you to remember pain. I want you to just remember what you were feeling. And not physical pain is what I'm saying.
Like emotionally.
Yes. What were things that you heard or things that you smelled. And I didn't really smell anything. But I did do it. I know. That's what he does. Like, and he smells that you do remember the hospital and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, not really.
I was born in the back seat of a car. Just kidding, I wasn't. That would be funny. I remember the seatbelt was very tight.
The seatbelt was really tight. Get it off me now.
Digging into my spine.
But yeah, then you remember that. And then he wants you to remember, like, or imagine a door. You're going to this door. You open it. And he wants to know what the first thing it is that you see or or feel or, like I said, smell.
Yeah.
All the senses, guys. So when I went through that door to get to my quote unquote past life, it was, I just don't know if it was my imagination or not.
What did you see though? Just go for it.
Okay. All right. So from what I remember, my very first one is I remember rolling hills. Not exactly hella green or anything, but definitely lots of hills. There was grass, there was dirt. It kind of reminded me of like an agriculture thing. I never figured out where I was or what time I was in, but I do remember not having shoes on, and I don't remember anything modern. Like, I wasn't wearing modern clothes. It was more of just like something draped over me. I remember the house that I was in was like a dirt floor house. So, again, it just very, there wasn't anything extravagant about it at all. So he has you regress to that, start remembering what's going on there. I don't really remember too many details of anybody around me though. And then he wants you to remember something traumatic that happened in that past life, or something good that happened in that past life. And I started remembering, which this is totally strange and actually totally did freak me out. But again, I don't know if it's my active imagination or not.
We're going to go with no. Let's go through this and get through this as if no.
All right. So I remembered being on a bed and giving birth.
Mind you, Naomi, maybe that's why you don't want kids.
I don't want children, ever. I like kids. I have nothing against them. I love your kid, Serena. She's cool. I love my nieces and my nephew, like, so much, but I don't physically want children ever.
So was it a pleasant experience, or was it...
I mean,
it's never a pleasant experience, but...
That's the thing, is I don't remember pain. I remember being, like, wanting to get this over with, and I was remembering the people who were in the room with me, which also kind of freaked me out, because the people who were in the room with me was my dad and my brother.
Ooh.
I don't remember seeing their faces though.
But you just knew it was
I just
them.
knew it was them there.
And I always have that when I have like a dream or something. Like, I've talked to you about this before. Like, if Naomi's in my dream, I'll just know it's her, but she doesn't look like her. And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, is this a past life where we were together at one point, or is this just me changing something in my mind? But you know, and that brings us back to what we were talking about earlier with people, like the people who are in your life are there.
Right.
It'd be weird if your brother was like the father.
That's all fucking weird. But that's the thing, like, I remember feeling like that's definitely my dad and my brother there, but that's all the only feeling I can get. And I do believe there was somebody else in the room, because the feelings that I got is that they were like behind me or next to me or in the next room or something.
Okay.
So
but you couldn't see anybody.
But I didn't see anyone.
It was me.
Somebody. Okay, and then Brian wants you to remember how that life ended. So this was also very strange. I don't remember the dying part, but I remember being in a very dark room that was cold. Ooh. And I was with my dad. My dad was there, and I just remember the only thing that popped in my head was poison. I feel like I did something to poison us, and I'm not sure if it was a good or bad thing, but then I get out of the meditation, and that's kind of it. Like,
could you tell how much time had passed between then and
like the
did
birth
you feel
part?
Like you were older? Or
I don't feel like I was an old person.
You were like
I do feel like it was my dad though. Like, that was he was my dad at this time also. So I remember having that kind of like connection or like a relationship with that person. I definitely believe it was my dad, and we both were in that room together and passed away together. Aww. So I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if that means like I miss my dad a lot. I am very close with my dad, you know, but I just thought it was very strange. So that was my first past life regression experience.
Crazy. Yeah. I have to do it again. Like I said, when I did it the first and only time I tried it, I just couldn't get there. But they were like, it was probably around this time I tried. There were kids outside screaming because we live right next to a playground, and it just, I was not, there was too many background noises going on that was pulling me out of this meditative state.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And Brian doesn't just like pull you out of these past life. He does it very slowly. Yeah. And he's like, okay, now
it's not like whiplash.
Yeah, no, it's not like, hey, here you are and I'm taking you away. Like, he does it very well. His voice is very soothing.
Yeah, just like V's voice.
Yeah,
oh my
V's
gosh, she needs to be recording some bedtime stories or some kind of meditation.
Yeah.
Seriously, V, guided meditation, you need to get on that because I would listen to you all the time. Your podcast just scares me, so I can't listen to that at night or when I'm like, you know, relaxing because I'm like, oh my God, this is terrifying. Most of her stories are about like her experiences.
Interesting. See, and
so it's so scary.
I just met V, so I'm very excited to start in on her podcast.
Yeah, her podcast is freaking great.
Yeah.
And when we talk about our next cryptids episode, which we're going to touch a little bit in on time travel, which is the Mothman, I still want her back for that.
Cool. But yeah, so I did another past life regression, but you guys are just gonna have to wait for that one.
Dang. Do I get to know after this?
Yeah, if you want me to get into it, I can. I mean,
yeah, let's get into it.
Okay,
because then
so-
we're going to upload the recordings anyways. And I want to know. I'm not a patient person.
okay, so for my second past life regression session, it was pretty much the same thing, except the childhood memory I had was different from the first one, and then he goes back into remembering when you're in the womb, and then you're going through that door to your past life.
So was it the same life, you think?
It was not the same life, no. So I opened the door, and something that I forgot to actually mention for the first regression also, I did not want to open that door.
Oh, you were scared?
Like I could see myself not wanting to open the door. And the same thing happened with the second past life regression, is I didn't want to open the door.
I wonder why. I wonder if you keep doing these, if there's something that you're going to uncover that's like a fear that you don't know about in this life.
And that's the thing.
And I'm here for you, girl, if that
thank
happens.
you, because I'm going to need the support. So, like I said, I didn't want to open the door, but I opened the door anyways. And what I saw with the second one was I also was not wearing shoes. So which is fine because I don't
like shoes.
I don't like shoes in this life. I hate how often do you come to my desk and I'm not wearing my flats?
Accurate.
Like I take them off as soon as I'm at the desk.
Yeah.
So not wearing
don't like
shoes. Yeah, you don't.
I
That's
don't.
right.
I'll walk to her desk barefoot sometimes.
That's true.
We're the only barefoot weirdos in the office.
At least the only ones willing to admit it.
Yeah.
So not wearing shoes, except this was more of a green area. Like the first time it was kind of green, but also I saw a lot of dirt.
Okay.
I also remember, so just lots of green. I remember a tree and I remember water. And the first people that I recognize is actually my mom, which I thought was really interesting. I just went and visited my mom over the weekend in Idaho. So I did this past life regression before I saw her.
I'm so surprised you didn't talk to her about it.
I know. So I think my mom was there, except we were the same age. She was not my mom.
She was probably your sister.
Something.
Or your friend, best friend.
Something. So I remember the presence of my mom being there. And then I remembered the presence of my grandma Lita being there, which is actually my mom's stepmother. But her and my grandpa were married since my mom was a kid. She has since passed away. She passed away when I was like in middle school or something. But I was always close with my grandma. And my mom and I and a group of other people, it wasn't just women, it wasn't just men, and I was a woman, we were listening to my grandma. And even though she wasn't my grandma in this past life, that's the only thing I could connect with was this is my grandma Lita. And she was just talking. And I just remember us sitting there. And so then Brian wants you to remember, the end of that past life. And I didn't really remember the end, but what I do remember is my grandma wasn't there, or who this person was who reminded me of my grandma wasn't there, but me and my mom were leaving. And we were with a group of people leaving. To where? I don't know. From where? I don't know. But I was definitely with my mom, and we were leaving wherever it was we were leaving.
Huh.
So it was a lot different from my first one. It was hard for me to get into the meditative state for my second one. I'm not sure why.
I wonder, maybe like the next time you do it, see if you can try to go back to that life.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to go back to one or the other. I'm actually more interested in seeing my grandma and my mom again, actually. Yeah. So just because that first one was very odd and it was very dark. My first regression, I remember it just dark a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like physical darkness or just emotional. It could have just been a bad time.
In the cold, dark room.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't want to die in a cold, dark room.
Yeah.
But
it almost seems like they were like, you're like being kept away from other people like you guys. So I wonder maybe if it wasn't poison, if it was like, I don't know, leprosy or something like that.
Yeah, see, I didn't even think about that.
Where you're like
but
physically
kept
to
away.
be kept away. Yeah,
yeah, and then in the second regression session that I did, I just like saying regression session, guys. Just the fact that I really couldn't remember how that life ended and that we were just leaving, but I was with my mom and a group of other people, I think is real interesting.
Yeah.
Like, there's other people around, so I'm going to do a third one.
Maybe Naomi doesn't always die alone in a cold, dark room.
Let's hope not. No, I think my dad was in that room with me is the thing. But it's very odd, guys. As I said, I don't know if it's my active imagination, but I think it's all interesting. Yeah. I definitely believe
Your imagination has to come from somewhere, though. We talked about that.
Why would I just randomly think about stuff like that?
We'll see. And then, so V did my past life reading.
Are you going to tell me what it is?
A little bit.
Cool.
I'm gonna. We'll talk about it more in our next one when we do your recording.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try the past life regression again.
Okay.
And see where that gets me. But I'm nervous because now I'm like, am I just gonna be thinking about what V told me? Or
you could, though. That might help.
Yeah. And then I could be like, hey, girl, this is what I found.
Yeah.
Is this what you were seeing or something?
And see if maybe she can't get another reading from you once you've brought that up.
Yeah. I don't want that to play on my, like, active imagination and be leading me into...
whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to try it.
Yeah. So what were her findings?
Oh no!
I want to know.
I'm gonna play her recordings for you after we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
But I have the pictures she sent me because remember how she said she draws like as she's channeling.
Yeah.
I have those, so she sent me those.
Oh hell yeah.
When I first looked at it, I was like, "What are these? I don't even know." But reading it together while
she was doing it,
yeah. So, I believe the first life, she said she picked up on 2. Cool. You are just dragging this out of me, girl. Okay, so I believe she said she picked up on 2. And I think the first one was in, I want to say she said, like, India or somewhere like that.
Cool.
And the thing that stuck out to me about that one, and I mentioned this to her too, was that there was somebody that I loved, like romantically, and I was not able to be with that person. Like it was like, I don't know, like a Romeo and Juliet vibe or something where we're not allowed to be together. And then I told her, I was like, girl, that happened in this life too.
You're like, yeah, that still happens.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna like super dive into it even in my personal life like that, but I'll tell you about it a little bit after.
Sorry, guys.
But I was like, is this a reoccurring theme in my life?
That's something you have to learn from them.
Yeah, well, and then I told her, I was like, well, you know what? That this situation that I had in this present life, I ended that. Like I was the one that made the decision to be done with that life or that love.
Right.
So if you could even call it that.
Could be an infatuation.
That thing, that situation. But I was the one who ended that, and I'm like, you know what? I think that I learned to get over that, and that might have been one of the lessons that I had in this present life.
Yeah, maybe.
So, and then the second one, she said she thinks it was Ireland.
Okay. Well, you are a redhead. I mean...
And she said that there were a lot of stone structures around. So she said it wasn't Stonehenge, but it was something similar to where there was, like, rocks around it. In my mind, I'm picturing, like, Frozen 2. Did you see that movie?
I have.
Where they have those rocks, or, like, Brave, where they have those,
Thank you. They're henges. They're henges is really what they're called. Yeah. Or fairy rings.
That too, yeah. Rings. That's what I was picturing. But basically, she said that this part of it stuck out to me was something about horses. And, like, you don't know this about me. I love horses.
Really?
Like, when I'm around horses, I feel like... I'm going to cry again, watch. I feel like I'm just, like, at home. Like, I've never owned horses. My friend had horses growing up that I would go over to her house and, we'd hang out with the horses. And I just always felt like this, like, bond with horses. Did you know that about me?
Did you know that I grew up on a horse farm?
I didn't know that.
Yes, my grandparents had a stable for horses. Funny. I grew up around horses.
Yeah, so I always, like...
How strange.
I just feel like there's this connection with me and horses. Like, I don't know
That
how to
is so
describe
cool.
it, but like I just feel calm, I feel at peace. And that's something I don't share with people. I live in Sacramento, California. Like
in an apartment, we don't have horses.
We don't have horses around here. But when I grew up in Hawaii, like there were horses around, and it just felt like nature just felt so calming to me. And she said that. And I was
love
like,
it.
I definitely feel that 1000%.
How interesting
And
that
then-
she picked up on horses, though,
Yeah,
out of anything.
specifically, yeah. And she said that the place felt safe to me. And like that's, like I said, that's like something
Yeah.
that's hella accurate. And I was like, V's not gonna know that from Twitter. I don't share horse pictures. Or,
I know,
there's
like-
nothing about me on any social media platform that would ever give you any type
I
of
don't think
hint.
you've ever mentioned
I've
horses
never
to
talked
me
about horses
ever.
because it's not something that I'm just like going around like
Uh-huh.
telling people about.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm ashamed of it or anything. It's just like, why talk about that?
Right.
Like, that's
Like,
something
you just
kind
love
of intimate.
horses.
I don't
Like,
even think
yeah.
my fiance knows that, how I feel. He knows I want a horse, but like he doesn't know why, you know?
Girl.
So I just thought that was really interesting. And I think in the way that past life ended, I was being chased through like, I think she said I was like a witch or something like
Okay.
that. And you know me, I'm all about the
Yeah.
spooky shit.
Witchy,
And
witchy.
I have like oracle cards that I've never played with because I'm like nervous, but I'll get there one day. And V didn't know that either. And I was like, that's something I always kind of wanted to dabble in and like learn
Yeah.
about, you know? She didn't know that. And she's like, well, this is that past life. And then I
How
was like, damn, that's
crazy.
crazy.
You gave me chills. That right there gave me chills,
Right?
actually.
So I think it was like, that's why I was killed, is because being
Religious
a witch,
prosecution.
yeah, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's
Wow.
crazy. And she's like, have you ever had any dreams of like, you know, being chased, or, you know, that could be a fear of yours? And it's not like a current fear of mine. I'm not really afraid of a lot of things. Like, apart from like, jump scares and stuff like that, I
Right.
don't have any, like, I'm not afraid of heights. I'm not afraid of, you know, the dark. I'm not like afraid of things like that to where I could be like, that's attributed to a past life.
Right.
So I was like, that's interesting. I have had dreams, however, where I'm being chased. And I get the feeling a lot of like, especially when I'm walking upstairs, that something's behind me.
Weird.
Yeah, I always get that feeling. And so I'm like, I wonder if that's why.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Because
Huh.
apart from like
Interesting.
black-eyed kids that I think are walking behind me, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's interesting. And I feel like, skeptic or not, you know, I'm not a skeptic. I'm so open to everything.
Yeah.
You just can't fake some stuff.
No.
You just can't make up shit like that, you know?
I think that is so interesting
Yeah.
that that's what she picked up on, and that you're like, the fuck?
Yeah, no, and I told her too, we were messaging a little bit after. I was like, when you started talking about the horse part, I started crying.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm emotional as fuck, okay? Like, I'm like an emotional bitch, and I feel like I will just look at somebody, and if they like are feeling a certain way, I'll just start crying.
Oh, you're an empath.
I feel
Yeah.
like kind of, but I don't know what that means necessarily. Like, I haven't like done any type of like practice with it or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, emotions are something that is like I pick up on so easy. If you look at me a certain way, I'll cry.
I won't look at you.
No, I'm just saying, like, so I just don't know how to, I guess, control those emotions and control that feeling of
Any feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely an empath, and yeah.
And I think she
that's
mentioned
cool.
that word too, and I was just like, girl, you hit that.
That's
hard.
really cool.
The first life, I didn't. So she said that I was like a gypsy or traveler or, you know, something like that. And maybe that's why I have always believed in reincarnation, or she wrote down the word Hindu as well. So maybe that's why because I've always, as far as I can remember, I've always believed in reincarnation. Like, my grandparents, not religious, they raised me, never went to church. The only church experience I got was, you know, when I would stay the night at my friend's house on a Saturday, I'd have to go to church with them on Sunday. But, and
always
to me,
sucks.
it was like just boring. If
Yeah.
I'm being honest, like, I just felt like it wasn't being taught the way that it was interesting to me. I do find other religions really interesting.
Yeah.
But for some reason, reincarnation is always something that I believed in. And I always think, and like, I always know, I know I was a dog in one of my
I love it.
lives because of how much I love dogs and how you see me when I get excited, I like wag my
She starts to,
tail,
like,
or I
dance, guys.
or like when I eat good food, like I just feel like, I just know I was a dog in a past life, and I don't think that it's not possible. I think that it's definitely possible.
Why
because
not?
who's to say we're just all humans all the time?
Yeah,
like
why
in every
not?
life. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think you have to go through other things like that. Everything's connected, like V was saying.
Yes.
We're all connected
Mhm.
to each other, so
Yeah. Dude, that is
Poopy
so
Paws, who were
interesting.
you in a last life?
Yeah, that's just all strange.
Yeah.
I really like that. So, when I was going to college, I was studying theology and religion.
Nice.
And so I grew up in mainly a Christian-based home. When
Yeah.
I was at my dad's, my mom not.
Yeah.
So I used to go to Bible study for a few years, and I used to go to church every other Sunday. I'm not saying I didn't believe everything that was being taught. Of course, everybody likes the morals of Christianity and stuff like that.
You're the type of person, though, that you question everything.
And that's the issue.
Yeah.
So when
that's not an issue, though. Don't say it's an issue, but
yeah,
I wouldn't call it an issue because you just want to learn. That's why
Yeah.
you went to college for so many years.
So many years. So
You know?
but it wasn't until I went to college and I started to learn more about Hinduism and Buddhism, Sikhism, and Taoism. That one's always fun too. But I didn't realize how much I agreed with Hinduism
Yeah.
until I started learning it. And their reincarnation is very much on almost exactly what V was saying. That you can just, you're into this other realm or this other part of the world
Yeah.
and universe, and then you go on. And we talked about
Karmic debt.
karmic debt, or I totally said that wrong, but a karma debt or whatever.
Karmic debt.
Yes. So, definitely believe in that.
See, I do too.
I really think that if reincarnation is real, if we do get into another body and it's the same soul or however the hell it works, we do need to learn something from that past life. Then what the hell's the point of coming into this new one?
Exactly. And that's my first, usually, okay, not recently because people get weird, but usually the first question I ask new people is I'm like, what do you think the purpose is? Or what do you think the purpose of life is?
Yeah.
To me, it's ultimately to learn the lessons that you're here to learn, to progress so your soul can progress. To where you can ultimately get to a state of enlightenment or a state of all-knowing. Or,
Thank
you know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's 1000% what I believe in. I don't practice, I don't go to
Temple
or anything
church.
like that, but I try to in my everyday life be the best person that I can be.
Yeah.
I'm still learning,
Which is
everybody is, and
everybody should just be the good person you want to see in the world and in other people,
I'm
right?
not by
That's
any
what
means
everybody wants to
there
do.
yet, and that's why I said to V, I said this is not my last life. I know that. I know myself. You know what I mean? And I'll try my damnedest to get there, but it's not going to happen in this life.
I think it's just all interesting. I've never thought about me having any sort of past lives before until we started really getting into it.
Yeah.
And now I'm just more curious to see if I can open anything up in my mind.
Well,
you
that's
know?
me too. I'm so scared of what it's going to unlock because I have a lot of repressed trauma that I have in this current life that I know about. And some bad things that happened when I was a child that I haven't necessarily dealt with yet. I kind of just push it to the side. A lot of my childhood I don't remember. It's just blocked out for me.
Right.
If you asked me, I could give you maybe 10 memories that I have as a kid, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So, if anything, maybe this can help me kind of unlock that. I just know that when it does, I'm going to need some therapy.
You're like, I need to talk to somebody else now.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad that I have, this platform that's introduced me to other people that believe in the same thing. And it seems like everybody in the podcast community just wants you to do your best and wants to help you get there. So, again, another shout out to the best community that I've ever been a part of.
Yes. No, this was awesome. So, yeah, guys, go read that book.
Yeah, again, it's Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. You can Amazon it Prime for like $7. Okay?
Dude.
It's so good, though.
Yeah, well, you got anything else to say, or?
Not really. I think this is a good segue into our next episode, which is also coming out on Friday.
Time travel.
And we're going to have another guest on.
Yeah.
We're going to have my man on here.
Woo-hoo. Hey, T.
He's excited. He's wrapping up his research. So it's a good segue into that episode where we talk a little bit about time travel.
Yeah.
But for now, I guess we're going to sign off.
Yeah.
What about our social media?
So we do have social media somewhere. Where's my notes?
Our Instagram
is Weird Mythic on Instagram. I think it's just Weird Mythic. I don't remember right now, guys.
It's Weird Mythic Podcast.
It's Weird Mythic Podcast on Instagram.
And then on Twitter, it's at Weird Mythic. Facebook, it's just facebook.com/Weird Mythic. And then if you guys have any stories, oh my gosh, I really want to hear some past life stories you guys have or something like that. We're going to do another part of this as well, because I want to get into a little bit of like children and how children, you know, remember certain things from past lives.
That's what I got down.
Do you want to read it now or do you want to save it?
If you want to save it for the next one, we can.
Let's save it.
Okay.
Let's save it
we're
for
saving
the next
it.
one.
I got some stories.
And then, send us an email at weirdmythicpodcast@gmail.com, or even if you guys want to be a guest on our podcast, now that we know how to do that.
I know. This was very exciting. Thanks again, V, for joining us.
Yes.
And yes, please send us any suggestions of shows or, episodes that you would like us to do.
Yeah.
And
anything, guys, talk to us.
Yeah. I'm really curious about this whole past life thing, guys.
Yeah, I want to know.
It's actually totally blew my mind. So
we're going to have to do a couple more parts to this. But again, thank you so much, V, for being on. And that's V from Life Paranormal with V. You can find her podcast on all major platforms. Give her a listen. Her shit is spooky.
All right. Thanks, guys.